Welcome aboard. I'm Ted Everingham, and this is Great Lakes Log from WMTV at the Grosse Pointe War Memorial. 1915 Bayview Yacht Club was founded, so it's its centennial this year, and 10 years later in 1925, Bayview held the first Mackinac race. There were only 12 boats. They were all wooden boats with canvas sails, and they leaked, and not very many of them made it to Mackinac Island. This year is the 91st sailing of the race that started 90 years ago, and this is our midwinter preview of that race, the 2015 BayviewMackRace. And with us today, we have Hanson Bratton, the Commodore of Bayview Yacht Club.
Hello, Ted.
And his, or our, Mackinac Chairman, Peter Wenzler.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Commodore race starts on July 18th.
That's correct.
And you're excited about that?
Absolutely.
What are the key dates, Peter, for when do you expect boats to finish? They seem to finish earlier and earlier every year.
Yeah, we really expect the bulk of the fleet to finish throughout the day on Monday, the 20th of July.
During the daylight hours, pretty much?
Throughout the 24-hour period, the biggest and fastest boats get there very early, and they're capable of finishing on Sunday, the 19th, but the vast majority will finish through the morning into the afternoon. Mostly daylight hours.
On an average year.
Yeah, on a typical year.
Yeah.
For many years.
You've got how many volunteers who work on this race?
The core group is 120 on a dozen or so different committees covering all different facets of the race.
So how do you staff the finish line when you don't know when boats are going to finish?
Well, we staff it 24 hours a day, but we also put GPS trackers on all of the boats. So we're tracking the boats as they travel up the lake, and we can see, you know, just exactly where they are and that they're coming in and be ready to take those finishes.
Probably easier today to track, to anticipate the arrival of the fleet than it's been in
Definitely,
years.
Yeah.
Maybe forever.
Forever. I'm sure you're right, because now we can see them on a little TV screen and see who it is and how fast they're coming, and we can estimate their time of arrival, usually within a few minutes.
Yeah, right. Commodore, I know you kind of turn over the running of the race to your chairman and his committee.
Yes.
What duties do you have that weekend?
Well, first I have to complete the race, and I'm on a smaller boat, so I tend to finish later on in the time period that Peter is describing. And we typically have a board meeting Tuesday morning before the party. And at the party, I go and enjoy myself and say hello to all the competitors and their families and our sponsors and other members. And then I assist with handing out the awards during the awards party.
One of Peter's predecessors as chairman of the race used to say, my job is to give out the prizes. That's kind of what it's all about, isn't it?
That's what it's all about. That's right. That's what everybody's there for.
Yeah. Now that happens Tuesday afternoon.
It does. We have a party afternoon, noon-ish to say 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the afternoon, up on the grounds of the Grand Hotel. And you know, the sailors have had a chance to blow off some steam, usually Monday night, and catch up on some sleep, much needed, and then gather with their crews and families and enjoy a great party.
If a visitor were just on the island that weekend, are they welcome to come to the party?
There are invitations, tickets given out, I believe, wristbands for the race participants. So as a crew member, you're invited. You and your significant other or friends and family are invited. I don't believe it's open to the general public, no.
So it pays to know somebody who's racing.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's not impossible to get in if you
Not
really
impossible.
wanted to.
Yeah.
Right. I was looking, we do this preview every January or so. And before I came here today, I was looking at my notes from 1 year ago, actually from 51 weeks ago this very day.
Okay.
And we had then, you had 44 boats registered for the 2014 race. What do the registration numbers look like today?
We have 85 boats registered for 2015, and we're very excited about it.
Oh, and why is that? You almost doubled the number of registrants at this time.
Well, the number one thing is we just opened up our registration earlier, so about a month earlier. So I'd say we're on a similar slope, or as far as number of entrants and time in the market are available to register. So that's number one. Bayview Yacht Club's celebrating their 100-year anniversary, so I think this year is likely to be a little, something special. I know the awards are going to be unique. And I don't know, people are excited. Maybe, we're second compared to Chicago, but I think they're just thinking about summer and getting out of the cold and going sailing.
Might have something to do with Peter's leadership in the whole thing, too.
Great, well, he's too modest.
Thank you.
Maybe it's a bit of turning around the economy.
Definitely think that that's something to do with it. There's a lot of first-time entrants registered already. Better than 20% of all the boats registered are going to be competing for the very first time.
Really?
Yeah, and when I'm talking to these folks, and I talked to quite a few of them, some of them are, guys had a boat for several years and he sailed on other boats, and he's excited this year's the year he's going to pull his crew together and go race on his own boat for the first time. So yeah, I think the economy has something to do with it. People are generally feeling better, have more money, being more optimistic, and this is the year that they're going to make the investment and race up to Mackinac and have their own adventure.
It used to be kind of hunkered down the last few years.
Yeah, I have been. I don't know about you guys,
No,
but it's getting better.
It's
certainly.
getting better, certainly. Well, there's lots of time to register still. What are some of the new things this year besides opening registration earlier? I know you've been sending out notifications every few days about
That's right.
not just the number of boats registered, but who they are.
Yep.
What are some other things you're doing that are different?
Well, we have had a significant change to the race, and frankly, I'm really shocked with the response that we've had. The biggest single change was that we kind of recommitted ourselves to racing to Cove Island, which is one of our traditional courses. There have been half a dozen courses over the 91 years that we've run the race, and the one that we've run for the majority of the time since 1972 has been to go out to a buoy set off of approximately Tobermory in Ontario, Canada, which is the northeastern corner of Lake Huron, and then turn left and go basically east or west and finish at Mackinac Island. Over the last few years, we've kind of jumped to a number of different courses, primarily because the Canadian government stopped setting a government marker there. But anyhow, that's the biggest single change, is that we've instilled a speed limit that for the faster boats requires them to sail out to that northeastern corner and round a Cove Island buoy and finish. And I say I'm shocked about it because I really thought there'd be more pushback. And we had a lot of people sailing up the shore, and relatively fewer sailing up to Cove, because we've had multiple courses for a few years. But the response has been overwhelmingly positive. A lot of people voicing their opinion that it was about time that we did this.
For those less familiar with the race than the three of us,
Yeah, right.
there are two courses. Cove Island, you've mentioned, which is about 204 nautical miles.
259 nautical miles to Cove Island.
Yeah, the Cove Island course. 204 for the shore course.
That's right.
So
Yep.
there's a 50-mile delta.
Right.
And the shore course just goes up the Michigan shore.
Yeah, start just north of the Blue Water Bridge, which is at the southern end of Lake Huron. finish at Mackinac Island. And, you know, you can go any which way you want, but a straight line takes you right along the eastern shore of the lower peninsula of Michigan.
By water.
Yes, by water.
Well, the third course is the I-75.
Yes.
A number of people take. It's important to note for those who aren't into this race as much as the three of us that both courses start the same place and finish the same place.
That's right.
It's how you get from one to the other.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
So the faster, bigger boats are on the shore course, the Cove Island course, and
Yes.
so on. How do you decide who sails on what course? And breaking the fleet into, you know, percentages, what's the breakdown on who sails which course?
You know, it's interesting. We analyzed elapsed time, so the physical time it took to sail from the finish, or start to finish, and compared like boats on both of the courses. And you said they're about, it's 55 nautical miles different. And our idea was to strike a balance so that we got most of the fleet finishing throughout the day on Monday. The last few years, we've actually had remarkable conditions, and a lot of the boats are sailing the shore. We finished earlier on Sunday, and we had folks sitting around for a couple of days waiting for the party. So we really are kind of moving back to a Monday finish, and we focused on the boats that race in the race are of varying speeds. You have very fast boats and very slow boats, and everything in between. And they're rated according to a performance handicap. So one boat gives a certain amount of time to, a fast boat gives time on credit to the slower boats. And we picked a rating, handicap rating, that struck a balance between the two courses. And so that's really it. The rating, if you know, is what perf is, which is the rating handicap, is 99 seconds per mile. Boats that have a lower number are faster. Boats that have a higher number are slower. And at 99, it got everybody there about Monday. And as a happy accident, the fleet split almost right down the middle between the two courses.
And that's a good thing.
I think so. We have long held a competition for the first overall finisher in the race. And it's the JL Hudson Trophy that we've had here at Bayview for many, many years. I don't, you know, it goes back to the 30s or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Before either of you.
And they give that to the winner of Division I, first overall. Well, those will be the boats on the Cove Island course. We'd like to see another trophy awarded as a, you know, recognize the top performer on the shore course. That's a Canadian Club Classic Trophy. It's a trophy that we've had for many years and had recognized previously, been used to recognize a top finishing boat using the perf handicap. There have been a number of different handicap rules. So yeah, I think it's good to have the fleet evenly split, and each competitor is sailing against, I guess, an equivalent number of competitors for the race.
I think you're right.
Good.
Commodore, after many years of finishing at the Mission Point end of the island, a couple, 3 years ago, you moved the finish line down to the other end of town.
Yes.
By the Iroquois Hotel. Moved the race headquarters from Mission Point to the Grand Hotel.
Yes.
There was some pushback about moving the course. Has that pretty much died down?
I think it has. There were some complaints about having to travel approximately about another 1/8 of a mile. Yeah. And it turned out not to be that big of a deal. And the thing about sailors is they like to complain, but when it comes down to it, they go ahead and compete. So in the end, it really doesn't matter.
They're averse to change.
That's right.
Yeah.
They love change as long as you don't change anything.
The headquarters at Mackinac at the Grand Hotel, that's worked well?
Oh, the Grand Hotel has been an outstanding supporter of the event, and they know how to help us run one hell of a party. I've got nothing but praise to say what they do for us and the race.
People don't think of sailing as a spectator sport, but with this event, there are spectators in the Black River during the week in Port Huron, in the St. Clair River during the the parade to the starting line, at the finish line on Mackinac Island. But the tracking has made a huge difference in the race, right?
It's a whole new world, absolutely.
And that works. Tell us how that works. I can watch from anywhere in the world and know where your boat is.
That's right. Well, our title sponsor for the race is Bell's Beer, the brewery out of Kalamazoo, and they afford us, as a part of our agreement with them, we had to place trackers on each of the boat and have an internet presence so that people could follow the race. And that's it. We hire a firm that supplies us with GPS transponders. As a part of entering the race, you're required as a skipper to mount this transponder to your boat and ensure that it's in good working order and visible to the satellites
And turned
throughout
on.
the race. Turned on, not covered in foil, you know, can be read. And it's really an awesome program. Bell's Beer has a website with a link to the tracking website. We have a website. The Bell's Beer BayviewMackRace website is byc.com. You can go there. There's a link to tracking, and you can follow one boat or all 200 plus boats throughout the race. Every single boat is named on the race course, and you can see exactly where they've passed through the water from the start to the finish. It's really pretty spectacular.
Well, it also computes where they are in the fleet based on their handicap.
Yeah, it does. So all of the rating information that's collected on our website is fed to the to Yellow Brick, which is the name of the tracking supplier. Like Follow the Yellow Brick Road, I think that's a good name. But they take the ratings and calculate at any given moment throughout the race an estimated finish time and where the boats would correct out on their rating handicaps in the fleet. It's really pretty neat.
It's probably a kind of a safety thing as well for people running a race, right, Commodore?
Well, I know from my wife, she tells me that it makes her feel much better to know where we are on the course. You know, back not too long ago, there was very little contact with the fleet. We were required to call in periodically via VHF just to let people know we're still afloat, and occasionally there would be flyovers by helicopters to keep track of the fleet. But it's very, very limited information, and so a lot of the family members did worry.
They're pretty extensive, and either of you can respond to this, or maybe both of you. They're pretty extensive equipment requirements, safety requirements that go along with the race, right?
Yeah, I'll let Peter answer that. He knows much more about it.
Yeah, right. We have, we call it the Safety Requirements and Recommendations. It's a document specific to our race, and we're essentially required to make sure that we have a set of safety rules for all competitors. The tracking you just mentioned has certainly enhanced the safety because we know where everybody is. But yes, the boats need to be equipped with all their U.S. Coast Guard certified equipment, just like any other recreational boat on the Great Lakes. And then there's additional requirements above and beyond that relative to seaworthiness of the vessel, able to take a knockdown, get through a storm, that type of thing. And then we beefed up things like personal safety. We want to make sure that every life jacket is equipped with a whistle and a light and retro-reflective tape so that if we were to lose somebody overboard at night, there's devices there for them to be easily found, if you will. And then there's a long, long list of recommendations of pretty much everything under the sun that you could that we know through experience is helpful in keeping people safe, like life rafts and emergency locator beacons and so on.
And on top of that, just want to point out that we do require that resumes for each of the crew members be submitted to make sure that there's adequate qualified crew on every boat. We don't want a bunch of beginners going out there alone because it can get hairy out there, so you need some experienced people on board.
That was my next question.
Oh, sorry.
You do look at that. You look at
Absolutely.
the experience of the skipper and crew.
Yeah, we certainly do. We have, as I mentioned, 17 first-timers, and our goal this year is to pre-inspect all the first-time entrants before the Mackinac gets here. We have our typical, every year we have a certain number of pre-inspections that occur. Some of them are at the request of the participant. We had a gentleman that came in from Duluth last year to race, and he wanted to make sure that he was properly equipped, and so requested that early inspection. But we have a goal on the Mackinac Race Authority with our safety committee to pre-inspect all the first-timers. We also had made some changes to our race that allowed some smaller boats to compete this year, and so we want to really make sure we understand how seaworthy those smaller boats are. So each of those boats that kind of fit in under the new cap or the lower length overall of the boat are inspected before the race.
You've each sailed the Mackinac race a number of times. I'm going to start with Peter. How many Mackinac races have you sailed?
32.
You're going to sail this year?
My plan is to, yes. I think so, yes. But you never know. I know last year's chairman planned to sail, and then when it came down to it, he decided to hit the island, you know, go up 75 and be a race chairman.
Yeah. Well, you can be a race chairman anyway.
Yep.
I think my idea is if you've done your job right and you've got the next guy in line, you might as well race.
Some people would argue I'm just a figurehead anyhow. So.
Well, I wouldn't argue that. We're running a little short on time, but what's your most memorable Mackinac race and why?
1992, I sailed on the Great Whisper, which is a local boat owned by a legendary sailor, a guy named Warren Jones.
Yeah.
And I'd sailed with Warren and his son Todd and that crew for 3 years. And we had come close. We had been second the 2 prior years. And in 92, we won the race. And that was great. The party on the island was spectacular, and we closed the party down with some other good friends. But it was just being with Warren and the guys out on the water. And going into Cove Island, Warren was in rare form and verbally abusive to me, and a very funny guy, and just kind of urging us on and whipping us at the same time as he did. He was a real character. If you knew Warren Jones, you'll never forget him.
Never, never. You got it, pal.
You got it. Go home. You know, why do you even try? You're a loser. You know, you're born slow. You know, that kind of stuff.
Commodore, what about you?
Well, I've done 23 Bayview Mackinacs, and a lot of good memories over the years. But I have to say, last year, 23rd Mac, I got my first flag. So it's a pretty long drought for people like Peter, so I get a little bit of abuse for it taking me so long, but I'm very proud that I was finally able to do it, and I hope to do it again this year.
How do you, Commodore, the way this works at Bayview and most clubs, a man or a woman is elected rear Commodore, and the next year they become vice Commodore, and then they get to be Commodore, which is where Commodore Bratton is now.
Yes.
And at Bayview, as you're elected rear Commodore, people walk up and say, "Congratulations, Commodore, who's your Mackinac chairman?" It's kind of all one word. So Peter's had his job for a couple of years now.
Yes.
How do you go about choosing a Mackinac chairman? What are you looking for?
Well, there is a tradition at Bayview where if you're looking for somebody to be a chairman of something, you corner them in the bar, and you make sure that they've had a few cocktails in them, and you catch them at a weak moment. But you know, that aside, you have to put the proper people in for the proper event, and there are very few people that I know that had the experience and passion for the race than Peter Wenzler here, and so he was always top of my list. But he's very dedicated to the club and of course his family, and one of the dangers with somebody like Peter is you know, they want to try and do too much. So we had a good talk about it, and he felt that he could take it on with everything else he was doing. He's been doing an outstanding job.
Thanks.
How long did it take you to decide to say yes?
A day. Actually, I wasn't drunk in a bar when he cornered me, but he did call me and asked me to do it. and or no, I was in the bar, wasn't I? He did ask me, and but I at first wasn't sure, and I went home and I talked to my wife about it, and then I realized that it was the 100-year anniversary of the club in 2015, and I should probably be involved in that. I love Bayview Yacht Club, and I love the Mackinac race especially so, and thought I should say yeah.
Have there been any surprises or challenges that you hadn't thought about?
Oh yeah, there's a lot that I never knew I was getting into fully when I first signed up. But for the most part, we've been able to overcome any obstacle at this point. And it's funny, in life you fear the future, you fear a new challenge, but more often than not, I find that I'm up to the task when we get there. So.
Are you having fun?
I'm having a great time with it. It's a lot of work. Certainly, it's a distraction at times. It's frustrating at times. But no, I think we're going to have a great event. I'm really looking forward to putting on the best Mackinac race ever, I hope. So.
Every chairman wants to do that if you succeed. But the thing I've noticed about your work is getting things done ahead of time, kind of lining things up and getting them done in order, and then getting them done. And I guess part of the early registration was part of that.
Yeah, and keep in mind, it's a team effort. I'm just I'm kind of the figurehead of this thing, but that is the Mackinac race. But we have a group that manages the race and oversees my work and makes sure that I'm not steering the ship on the wrong course, if you will. But yeah, I believe getting registration open in December was great, and we do weekly publications to keep everybody updated, and all of the documents related to the race need to be out there, I think, as soon as the skippers can have them. I've found that involved in running other races and other events that if you wait too long, there's always something wrong with whatever you do, and so if you get it out early, you've got more time to correct any mistakes you made.
Here, huh?
True
You like that?
Absolutely.
I know you do. I know you do. That must have been something you kind of had in the back of your mind when you tapped Peter.
Oh, I know Peter gets things done,
Yeah.
so that's what it's all about.
Well, I think you're going to have a good year. Is it special being Commodore the 100th year, the centennial year?
Of course it is, and even aside from the race, there's a lot going on at Bayview this year to celebrate the event. We're publishing a book to celebrate the history of Bayview, and that ought to be out this fall sometime. And we have this memorial bricks that we're starting for the first time that the members are purchasing to remember things about Bayview that are important to them. So, and we're going to have some parties, of course, and it's going to be a very good year.
And you've built that logo into your awards for the race?
Yeah, we expect that we're going to have, there's a number of things that we don't have the time to discuss, but yes, we have a logo. There's a 100-year anniversary logo, and I expect that that's going to be a part of our awards and trophies for this year. So it should be something special. At least people will look back fondly on, hey, I was there for the big party in 2015.
Well, I hope there are lots of people there on the race course and at the party. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Let's get together again. The race starts July 18th. Let's get together in late June, early July, see where we are, what surprises we have. I know you've got some huge boats coming, which is all very exciting, and we can talk about that when the race gets a little closer.
You bet.
Commodore, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us on Great Lakes Log. We'll look for you right here next time.